Demba Jum Den Den Di Shen Shen Wan Da Shum Yanda Wan Zo Be San Je Re Wa Dan Sha So Deva Re She Wan Je Den Jen Ba Je Wan Du Be Kha Lo Ju La Na Me Ba La Da Me Nan Je Demba San Je Jum Den Pe Je Wa Sha Jan Tu Wa Na Sha Sen Lo She Do Ja Su Chi Demba Jum Den Den Di Shen Shen Wan Da Shum Ba Yanda Zo Be San Je Re Wa Dan Sha So Demba Deva Re She Jiden Kemba Jiwon Dewa Kano Jiwa Nana Me, Tada Menanje Demba Sanje Jimden Dembeje, Shaja Tuba Nasha Zemo Shuk the Japsu Sheo, Demba Jimden Dendi Shinshe Wanda Jumba Yamba, Zobe Sanje Rimba Nasha Zon Demba Devarishim, Jiden Kemba Jiwon Dewa Kano Jiwa Nana Me, Tada Menanje Demba Sanje Jimden Dembeje, Shaja Tuba Nasha Zemo Shuk the Japsu Sheo, Kanse kanyen zowa jedam se sajen ten la kumba dubra. Ngane jiden ten la joje zon de ze keba jo na jahaze. Namda kunga jodo susan wa yishi jazo sege kumbonda. Chaba jiden sumna na menbo kumbo chunye jo na jahaze. Tenjon tenpa chimen da we she sendon jawa jo na jahaze. Duje jenda seba suma je nyame kenshen jo na jahaze. Gombo tuji jeden ba tamji kembe donba bu sonama yönden yazıyor. Dişin şala çağa no taben de çağı. Geven yazon ne rüce cido dedim çocuğu bu şimdi cana çağı. Çene çeven lan ya da labata la da de şimdi tam ba yedi. Gediyor la ya çağı no dibaçı yemiş. Geva pizon soba çe range sen de yazıyor. Tene sadece de. Karmara re mameda gümaze başlıyor. Menon moda Le jejan on de da sonum de tam jese ko. Kobantom ne jinjen da de ga dan da da shive lo ju. Shive so le do wan do wa re sho.
Teachers of lesson one, the whole destroyer, the completely perfected, fully awakened being, perfecting knowledge and good conduct,
Sugata
no more the world, supreme guide of beings to be tamed, teacher of gods and humans, to you the completely and fully awakened one, the blessed one, the glorious conqueror, the subduer from the Shakya clan, I prostrate, make offerings, and hope for refuge. To the teacher, the blessed one, the one who beyond, the full destroyer, the completely perfected, fully awakened being, perfect in knowledge and in good conduct, Sugata, knower of the world, supreme guide of beings to be tamed, teacher of gods and humans, to you the completely and fully awakened one, the blessed one, the glorious conqueror, the subduer from the Shakya clan, I prostrate, make offerings, and go for refuge. To the teacher, the blessed one, the full destroyer, the completely perfected, fully awakened being, perfect in knowledge and in good conduct, Sugata, knower of the world, supreme guide of beings to be tamed, teacher of gods and humans, to you the completely and fully awakened one, the blessed one, the glorious conqueror, the subduer from the Shakya clan, I prostrate, make offerings, and go for refuge. When supreme among humans, you were born on this earth, you paced out 7 strides, then said, I am supreme in this world. To you who are wise then, I prostrate. With your pure bodies formed supremely pure, wisdom motion like a golden mountain, fame that blazes in the 3 worlds, winner of the best, to you I prostrate. With supreme science, face like spotless moon, color like gold, to you I prostrate. You are immaculate, the 3 worlds are not. Incomparably wise one, to you I prostrate. The Savior having great compassion, the teacher having all understanding, the field of merit with the qualities like a vast ocean. To you, the one come to thusness, I prostrate. The purity which makes one free from attachment, the virtue which frees one from the lower elements, the one path, the sublime pure reality. To that Dharma which pacifies, I prostrate. Those who are liberated and who also show the path to liberation, the holy field qualified with realizations, who are devoted to the moral precepts. To you, the sublime community intending virtue, I prostrate. Do not commit any non-virtuous actions, perform only perfect virtuous actions, Subdue your mind thoroughly. This is the teaching of the Buddha. A star or a mirage, a flame on land, illusion, a drop of dew or a bubble, a dream, a flash of lightning, a cloud. See conditioned things as such. Through these merits may sentient beings attain their goals. Subdue the flow of thoughts and be delivered from motion of suffering, of aging, sickness, and death.
Sanje Chodo Soje Chono Chanju Pado Tane Dagin Soje Sonam Je Dola Pinche Sanje Sanje Chodo Soje Chono Chanju Pado Tane Dagin Soje Sonam Je Dola Pinche Sanje Sanje Chodo Soje Chono Chanju Pado Tane Dagin Soje Sonam Je Dola Pinche Sanje Sanje Chodo Soje Chono Chanju Pado Dagin Soje Sonam Je Dola Pinche Sanje
I go for refuge until I am to the Buddha, Lama Tsongkapha. Through the merit I create by practicing giving and the other perfections, may I quickly attain the state of Buddha for the benefit of all sentient beings. I go for refuge until I am enlightened to the Buddha, Lama Tsongkapha. Through the merit I create by practicing giving and the other perfections, may I quickly attain the state of Buddha for the benefit of all sentient beings. I go for refuge until I am enlightened to the Buddha, Lama Tsongkapha. Through the merit I create by practicing giving and other perfections, may I quickly attain the state of Buddha for the benefit of all sentient beings.
Tanje Jemba Laza Hazen on the Sanje Jumde and then the Shenship one Tashu Mayanda. Zove Sanje Rivada Shabu Demba Devarisha Panji Kalo Jiva Lana Meva Hadam Menam Sanje Jumden Desu. Dishinship in the Sonata Jutan Geveza Nama Chumism. Suberado Jembo Sonam Jeteren and Jishi, Pages of one of Jetuba Semen Jemba. Jurema de Matona Tona Medeva Meva, Tevemeva, Nomra, Sheriff Sidia Medim. Tona Laziva Meva Sinjetam Jetamba, Chajus and Yago, Pabeka Sana Jebo. Young and they were Trojeta Jovan and Jeteve, Ishapatam Beba, Boba Sunday Medium. So number Tawayanyam, Gujeta Vechomish, Kutsumba Meva, Devata. Sudaganya Wamago Sumevata, Jovan Duman, and the Roger, Kumbota, and the Roger. Kamnala Medema Dejanama, the Duvana Shilaji, Yozundoa, and the Roger. Siba Leaju, Chuo Lake, Yishio, Devata Majumba, the Tadaju, Sanjum Dedi. Yishela Neva, and Yangana Deva, Medeva, Yanda, Vanya, Taman, Simjatam Jena Siva Samashuba. The Dania Sanjum Dedi, Yoguchi, the Yanda Vana, Tabeshana Tomaki, Padaki, Tamaraki, Tures of Sindusm. Mandeva, Yozo, Yozo, Yanda, then never teach one when you want to get on the day of a Kevana, the Sozoranga, Jumden, the gender was to be shown to one another. Never Jones of a judge and Jova Jeva made him one, the water, the Matema, whatever she began. Leverage sugar, river sugar, tower sugar, timber sugar, thermal residue, charge of residue. So now the baby, she, you don't want to Jibeno Zoju, Jibena Zoju, Chambo, Kangiamo, attention on all the way. Is in a messenger, Bemedal, charts. So I think we are on the page.
There's no sound.
Huh?
I can't hear any sound.
Oh, sorry. Whoa. sorry.
Thank you. I could hear it on other things, but not here. So okay, there we go. Thank you.
I think page 225, 225. The further presentation of the true truths. So we have already, discussed on the true truth in general, the conventional truth and the ultimate truth. So the ultimate truth, the ultimate is, I think here in Tibetan, Tyendam Demba. Tyendam Demba. So the ultimate truth, the truth for ultimate consciousness, ultimate perceptions, so therefore ultimate truths, right? So the truth that is revealed by wisdom realizing emptiness, so therefore is the ultimate truth. You can say ultimate is ultimate consciousness, or the, ultimate consciousness, or ultimate, usually we call, sometimes Bodhisattva's noble being, the wisdom we call the ultimate bodhicitta, ultimate bodhicittas. So noble beings' direct realization of emptiness is the ultimate bodhicitta, right? So it's not a bodhicitta, it's the ultimate bodhicitta. So ultimate is referring to the wisdom that's directly perceiving the emptiness. So the ultimate truth named by the wisdom that is realizing emptiness, revealing emptiness. So from the subject giving the name, to the ultimate truths, right? And conventional truths also due to the subject, conventional, mundane perceptions, ordinary perceptions, right? So is the conventional, it is a mundane, ordinary perceptions. Say anything that is become the object or knowable object to mundane perceptions or ordinary perceptions is a conventional truth. So, and sometimes when it comes to the specifically explaining what is the conventional truth. So then the conventional truth, like anything like a house, tree, human beings, right, and the cause, the effect, and directions. So these are the conventional truth. Is the mundanely perceived, right, made to be existing, mundanely, right. So, and also this conventional truth also mundanely exist, mundanely perceived, conventionally, ordinarily perceived. So, at which kind of there's an indication is that ordinarily perceived means is there is no further analyzed. It is unanalyzed phenomena, right? So like the relation, the cause, the effect, the directions are kind of without being examined, analyzed, so mundanely perceived. So these phenomena, the mundanely perceived, mundanely knowable objects, also known as deceptive. So deceptive, false, right? So why it's saying deceptive and false? So this mundanely perceived object, when it appears to the mundane perceptions, it appears to the mundane perceptions as a concrete and solid and existing by itself. So therefore, those conventional realities also called deceptive and false existence. So the false existence does not mean they don't exist. The false existence, it never never exists as it appears to the mundane perceptions. So which clearly can indicating that the mundane sentient beings or the mundane, they are pretty much busy engaging in their own creation, right? So so once we are busy engaging in those mundane creations, which means again we got tied up in those imaginations, in those conventional reality, with the verbal and the concept, continuously constructing
fabricating. So by fabricating, constructing by the thought, also tying up ourselves in those mental creations. So this is one of the reasons that in the sutra there's many times childish beings. Childish means, so we often get tied up in our own creations. So we talk about that, we get emotional with that, right? So I think with that we also try to find the happiness. So we're trying to find happiness in our own illusions. So no matter, even there is no histories that human beings or mundane beings, gain happiness or, peace, kind of sustainable peace through engaging in, those meta projections. But we insist because the one side, because our innate desire is seeking happiness. And there is an innate desire seeking happiness, and the way we find happiness, right? This is the only world that we have, or we created. So we tend to find the happiness in our own imaginations. So, it's happiness from reading novel books, happiness from, seeing the trees, the oceans, and the happiness in talking about relatives, the friends, happiness. So these are all kind of, this is our way of seeking for the happiness. Because we believe, I think there is no need to convince us that happiness is important or we want it. So no one needs to tell us that you should find happiness. So we have naturally, it's innate desire. And then I think the idea of the Bodhisattva is, he finds the different way to seeking happiness. He finds the happiness to breaking up all this mundane concept, going beyond the mundane concept, and then finding the sustainable peace. So which means going beyond means, as those mental fabrications, knowing these are mental projections, these are falsely exist, they don't really truly exist, they even not exist by their own essence, right? So knowing the conventional truths are falsely exist and unreal, and it's like illusion, it is like optical illusion, these are the dream-like phenomena, they don't have any, any intrinsic natures. So that's the Buddha's way of finding or happiness, or the pursuing happiness. So the conventional truth and ultimate truth, ultimate is ultimate wisdom, whatever has found or revealed is ultimate truth. So conventional perceptions or the mundane perceptions, whatever it has, perceived or conceived or has engaging are the conventional truth. So that's a general kind of, descriptions on the true truth. I think that reminds, in the sutra, they say, Manjushri and Buddha's conversation. First, Manjushri asks, what binds the sentient being in the second existence? And Buddha answered, seeing I, right there, what's that? Dada Shen's, I, how's that? Yeah, I and others. So seeing I and others intrinsically two different kind of, two different object or two different thing. And having, grasping on the I and others as a two separate entities, that originates attachments towards myself and detachment towards others. And that leads the verbal and the physical mental actions. So from that actions and the consciousness actions, the force of the action propel the consciousness continuously in the second existence. And after that, and the Buddha continuously, teaching that. So with this, most of the sentient beings have no idea they're continuously, pushed by this two concept, me and others, are intrinsic in existence. And some, they think that, oh, these are the delusions. So I need to find the liberations and generating the renunciations, right? And then they think, now I am getting audience. I am receiving the monastic vows. I am the bhikshu. And then continuously they go practice meditating on the Four Noble Truths. Or these are my knowledge. I am the possessor of this knowledge. And continuously meditate, saying, now I have found the path to liberations. So continuously seeing me and my knowledge, me and my, my qualities, continuously, seeking. Then, maybe they are successfully being able to meditate on single pointed meditations. They gain calm abiding, special insight. Again, this is my calm abidings. This is my special insight. So almost like there's the ownership is there. So with that, they think continuously, seriously practicing, and somehow they think, maybe now I am arhat, right? Again, there's a strong kind of, perception of, clinging on the intrinsic I. So at the end of this person, and end of his life, and then he continues to find there is the sign many times they can see the sign of reborn again, and then they get doubt on the Buddha's teaching. So far, right, I have did seriously put a lot of effort in the practicings. So I still now see, so I'm going to reborn again. I haven't, attained the liberations. So maybe Buddha Shakyamuni's teaching has some mistake, or maybe it's not complete. And also, while they're in the practice, they also see it's like, so I have this monastic vows, I'm bhikshu, this is my knowledge, this is the path that I found, and liberation, that is I'm going to attain. So continuous thinking. And there also generates the two kind of, very vivid and very, strong feeling. One feeling that is, so they continue, I think one feeling because many things they have to abandon, many things they have to avoid, and there is something that they can shame of the action they have done. So that is the bitterness, the feeling in there. At the same time, and they're also, because of this is calm abiding, this I have found, this is the knowledge, and there's some kind of pride in there. So as I mentioned, I'd said example like bitter melon and watermelon together, you experience that. So the point the Buddha is trying to make is So once you see everything is like dream-like phenomena, and there is nothing to be sad and nothing to be shamed, because all untrue, unreal, right? So when you wake up from the dream, and the dream maybe that's scary, so you don't really, when you wake up, you say, oh, that's a dream. So in this way, you shouldn't have any kind of regretness and any kind of, so with realization emptiness, with knowing everything is conventionally and ordinarily exist, they don't really exist truly, or they not exist by their own essence. So there is no emotional to play. So it's completely freedom. So setting yourself completely freedom. So there's no guilty feeling, no how's that? So it's all kind of so yeah, I think understanding the conventional reality as it is the way to find the peace through the pacification of the mental construct.
I have a random question. How is this taught in like the Lama, like in progression? Where is it taught? Like the two truths.
Lamrim and the true truth in the how's that? Is the what called middle way vehicle. So they talk about the liberations and then talk about the true truths. And also, true truth is always, mentioned in a Mahayana path. So I think this is like the understanding of the true truth is you don't really, I think it's saying there is no such samsara, which is truly that, truly exist. There is no samsara. There's no suffering that truly exists. The suffering and the samsara exist in the Hosea. In the misconceptions. Within the misconceptions, there is something that binds you. There's something that not letting you free. There's something that is inevitable, kind of the suffering that you face, the consequences of your action that you see. So all happening within the misconceptions. So eliminating the misconception is, and the concept of the idea or the feeling of being bound or being bondage, right? The bondage is bondage is there, and when you see yourself and other as they truly exist. So there's nothing outside binds you in samsara. There's nothing inside there's that binds you in samsara. So I think, and also, and the presence to the Bodhisattva Muni in the Nagarjuna's root, Mulamadhikarika. So the sentient beings, I think like mental, sentient concerns that arises from concept of arising and disintegrating, permanent, impermanent, coming and going, and the same and different. These concepts. So that generates or originating the worry and the concern, right? Because when you see the arising is something intrinsic, and when you see the coming and going are, mutually exclusive, and they are intrinsically separate. So, so that kind of automatically produces or generates the it's concern or often reflecting on the past, going back again and again, thinking about what had happened. So something that drags you, something that pulls you is because of you see 3 times coming, and all are some intrinsic phenomena. And also some master says, when you cut all these misconceptions, so and then not only kind of set you free, it also makes you master of your existence. So you have fully control in your physical elements and the minds and the object. So right now we have no control on our elements, no control on our object that we experience. We have no control of the faculties. So all because of your mind is not really being aware of the reality.
How can anyone have control when there's no you to have control? It would seem there's not even a you to make decisions, a you to take action. It would seem that this just arises as another appearance.
What is the question again?
Okay, the question is, you're talking about when you master, and you have some direct understanding of emptiness or direct realization of emptiness, there's some kind of mastery over the elements, over phenomena. But the question is, who is there to have control or master phenomena or the elements? Where is the you who can even master these things when you see there's no you? In fact, there's no you even to see there's no you.
Yeah, that's very good.
And everything that arises is illusion. Even so-called mastery would seem to indicate you're still stuck in samsara.
Yeah.
If you can control elements, then it's almost you becomes intrinsic,
Yeah. So I think that's why, true truths are not really easy. So I've been explaining, for decades. I think 5,000 years, Nagajunas keep teaching about true truths. So this teaching is continuously from So when we say it's illusion like a phenomena, so illusion is reality. It is the object. Illusion, if illusion does not exist, illusion is not like a rabbit horn. So optical illusions are not a rabbit horn. A dream is not a rabbit horn. Mirage image is not a rabbit horn. So these are conventional reality. It exists. And now the question is, they do not exist, right? Are they exist by their own essence? And say, no, the mirage image is not existing, not happening by its own essence. Mirage image exists, but not exists from their own essence, from their side. It exists relatively. Mirror and face, contact, mirror image happen. Mirror image, if the mirror image, it exists by itself, and then you have, you must have some clue that this image is where it comes from. It is the backside of the mirror, or it is in the front, or something that goes into the mirror. Or so when you move, the way does the mirror image goes. So when you look at the mirror image appears. So you don't have to erase that. So when you go, right? So it won't exist because it's not exist by its own essence. It's relative, but it exists. Illusion is existence. Mirror image is existing. Dream objects are exist. Now, what we are negating here is existing truly, existing intrinsically, existing by its own essence. This is what we are negating. So similarly, yourself is illusion like existing, therefore you exist. Because you exist like illusion like phenomena. You exist like a mirage image like phenomena. You exist like a dream like phenomena. You exist like optical illusion like phenomena. So therefore you should exist. When there is yourself that exists and the other that exists, you can generate compassion towards other. You can generate the renunciation yourself from the second existence. So as I mentioned earlier, the follower, sometimes we so-called scripture follower and the reasoning followers too. Scripture followers are whatever they're told, they believe and they go with believing. So those scripture followers, sometimes they are very serious, very kind of serious in their practice. They never let go of their intrinsic I. So intrinsic I is always there, and with that, and then taking vows, and then getting kind of when they have received the titles like a geshe or the bhikshu or something, and they just keep clinging on, holding on that, right? And with never letting it go, and with that, they practice, they meditate, they contemplate, they gain knowledge. So it all become, almost like you are, you are offering all this practice, new object, new knowledge to intrinsic I. So you're pleasing that intrinsic I. Every practice, every knowledge is you offer to the intrinsic I. So you are a worshiper of intrinsic I. By following Buddha's teaching, you worship intrinsic I. So that's why the intrinsic I, concept of intrinsic I, is the one that's the root cause of the second existence. That really binds you in samsara. So you never kind of rebel to the root cause by worshiping it and also worshiping it, and then you try to find the happiness. You're trying to find the liberations. So I think when we talk about those serious and scripture followers, they also talk about the root gurus, lineages, direct lineages, or second-hand religious. so they kind of so main things. My root guru is so important because myself is intrinsically right. I am the one. Therefore, this should be valuable because it's connected to me. Like so I was told with someone, my friend says, when they go by train, and then in India, the local trains, you can open the window, they eat banana, pill, right? And they throw, and they feel kind of like living back. They don't want to throw it. So even the banana peel is once it's connected to the intrinsic I is so valuable, so you cannot let it go. Because what train is going too fast, my banana will falls far back. so that kind of emotion is always there because of this intrinsic I. So we are only negating, only part, the negation element here is intrinsic I, not the I.
Well, it would seem, I mean, anyone who talks about, let's put it this way, if a master, say a Vajrayana, or it could be Mahayana, master talks about his lineage, and even more if he says why his lineage is so great, he's separate from other lineages. My question is he caught in samsara, or there's really no master, including the one you see and hear, to truly be caught in samsara, because whatever is being experienced as your lineage or your master or yourself is all illusion. So we're even fabricating our lineages. Our lineages, I mean, of course you can talk about them conventionally, no problem. But apart from this conventional designation, do even lineages truly exist?
But still, it exists. Lineages exist. Lineages exist, and it also is important. But there's a solid solitude realizers. Those arhat. So they don't have any lineages. So they're born somewhere, and they reflect. What do you call the realization of dependent originations kind of it reappears and regenerates in their mind. And they don't need teachers just by looking at, say, like dead body or any like a bone. And then they can kind of reverse back in dwellings independent originations. Oh, the aging and death is due to the birth. Birth is due to the process of becoming. Process of becoming is due to, grasping. Grasping is due to craving. Craving comes from feeling. Feeling from the contact. Contact from the faculty. Faculty from the main naming form. Naming form from the consciousness. Consciousness, karma. Karma in ignorance. And then they, meditate and contemplate on that. What does that mean? What is that I? So easily they kind of reveals realization emptiness. So without teachers, without lineages, they can attain the liberations. So yes, some people, so without the lineages, without the teachers, it is impossible for them to gain knowledge. But some people, no need teachers, no need lineages. So only the important thing is knowledge is the kind of, as I say, this is like I. So with this I, you can, without how to say, you can unmistakably find the fruits. Unmistakably, you can, find the clothings. With this I, you can go and cook something. With this eye, you can go fix something. So the knowledge is the dependent origination, like the eye. So with this eye, you can have anything. So this, the point is what leads you to the liberation. So what can set you free from the samsara is the wisdom, that understanding the dependent originations. So this wisdom, dependent originations, some people may begin with like disciplinings, contemplation, the recitations, the meditations, and listening and thinking about it, and then gradually you may be able to generate wisdom realizing emptiness or dependent originations. Some people in the previous life, they have generated in the past visualizing emptiness and strongly embedded in their mind, and they only need just indications. So something that prompt, and then they generate the wisdoms. So you say, right?
Can you do this? Can you realize emptiness solely through Guru Yoga? Through Guru Yoga? Well, because you can do Guru Yoga, will that give you the knowledge of interdependent origination? And does every person who's enlightened have to go through exactly the same steps as the Pratyeka Buddhas, the solitary hares? I mean, does everyone has to go through that, or can, like for example, Guru Yoga alone be sufficient to understand dependent origination?
Yeah, I think so. If I ask questions like, can you have tomato in your field, in your farm, just by having soil? Can you have tomato in your yard just by water, or just by having enough sun? We say no. Or how about just the seed? No. Just by seed, you won't have any tomato in your field. Just by water, no. And even the soil, the sun, the wind. So it's collectively produced. So the tomato need sun, soil, water, wind, seed. So there is no any effect that caused by one single cause. So even in the reality, right, even the tomato, so why not the dependent originations, is, required so many cause and condition. So usually in the text always sune loden to. So sune means you have to be honest to yourself, and then you have to intellect, understanding, and you have strong interest, right, in this knowledge. When you are very honest, and you have intelligence, and you have strong interest. So these are the kind of the cause and conditions that can give rise the right effect, right result. So surne means like honesty here. I think is sometimes so like just your study or your teachings is all kind of tends to feed your pride. So then you are not honesty to yourself. It's all about generating pride and arrogance or expecting someone's respect. So that is kind of saying is it nirtimajens. Nirtimajen means containers. That is how to say. Like your container is not clean, right? So it's itself is a very how to say, what do you call it? If the container is dirty, so you can if you put the pizza or hamburger, so it's not eatable. So like with this, if everything is feeding your arrogance and pride, so it's not usable for yourself and others. So the honesty and the interest. If you have no interest, and then you're just forced or you are just told to study, and again, it will fail you to generate the knowledge. So dependent originations here, I think it required the faith and the interest, and then the continuously studying and the disciplinings. And also, I think maybe one time you go back this the praises to the Bodhisattva by Nagarjuna in Mulamadi Karika. So Nagarjuna says the concept of arising, concept of how to say, and disintegrations, concept of permanent, concept of discontinuations, all right, concept of coming and going, and same and different. So, so these kind of what do you call it? Yeah, these are the phenomena. These are the object. Once our mind mistakenly and how to say, interpreting meaning, mistakenly conceives the meaning, and then that how to say generates the afflictive emotions. So the arising and disintegrations, there is no such effect or conditional phenomena from the disintegrations from the disintegration of the thing is from the disintegrations and the continuations. Disintegration, which means again, disintegrations is not the meaning of discontinuations, right? So disintegration is not dissipation. And arising, arising is the first maybe say what arises. Anything that arising is not physical, not solid, not intrinsic. So the arising means it's a future. Future is not materialized, right? Not materialized. So arising is not physical, it is not, which means arising of the sprout is not done by the sprout itself. Arising of the sprout exists, but it is not done by the sprout itself, because sprout is yet to come. So like your future life, the future reborns, right? So coming of the future rebirth is not done by the future life itself. And what makes it existing, the coming of the future, is because disintegration of this life is making existing or the coming of the next life. Not the next life itself is making it coming. So the coming of tomorrow, the Monday, is due to Sunday is disintegrating, not the Monday by itself, right? If the Monday itself is doing, and within the Sunday, or maybe morning or the evening or at night, Monday, so just waiting in the waiting room. So is it my time is coming? So sometime Monday can come like evening. Oh, I forgot the time. They go back again. So the Monday is not the one that is making existing of it coming. So the arising is not intrinsic. Disintegration is not dissipation. Right? Cheba meba. So cheba meba means now, because the sprout that arising is not intrinsic, not by itself of the sprout, and their disintegration is not a dissipation. So the seed producing the sprout is through the disintegration seed itself, right? So seed disintegration is not a dissipation. So when the seed ceases to exist, you are not going to dissipate, so seed is not going to dissipate. So when you die, you're dying, you're the end of this life, but it's not makes you dissipate. Right? So the dying of the person in this life is not going to dissipate by having died. Because that makes existing of your next life. So nothing permanent, nothing intrinsically arises, nothing dissipating, nothing is permanent. So this is why the coming of tomorrow, all right, today is going. Today is not going towards tomorrow. Today is going to end, but not going tomorrow. Because there is no tomorrow that as today has came. Right? So the going is not intrinsic, coming is not intrinsic. So it's conceptually, relatively projected, the projected is a relatively defined separate entity. So which means it's conceptually fabricated phenomena. Coming and going, right? And then one and many. Like, yourself is one, and you have 4 limbs and 1 head. So having many and yourself being one is a conceptually. Otherwise, you can leave 4 limbs and head, you can go somewhere. So there is no possible, because you are no different from, right? Different from the 4 limbs in the 1 head. You are not the each limbs, not the head. So, and the possessor of the 4 limbs as you is conceptually, conceptually designated kind of an entity or conceptually designated phenomena. So this is why there is a designation like a forest and there are trees. And the chariot, right? And there are two wheels, and then the body of the chariots. Is it conceptually you are designating, kind of separating or distinct the separate phenomena. So if you understand, there's nothing to be, too emotional about arising and the disintegrations. So this is the reality, the nature of the phenomena. It is just played by thought. So play by thought does not mean they don't exist. So it's played by thought, means it's made it to be existing by thought. Therefore, it exists like illusion. Right? Or played or displayed by the thought. So
I have an image of there's two, you could say, strange phenomena. There are, of course, people with two heads who share a body, and there even is a case of a person with two faces, and one in the front, one in the back. There's actually a single case recorded, and they seem to almost have independent brains, but one could communicate, and one said mostly garbage. But so, I mean, this is a case of designation. Is that one person or two? And these are very challenging cases, right? We tend to say two. We tend to say two, but they share the same body. But I'm trying to dissipation. You were. What was the other word you used? Dissipation is not. These two things are not. Dissolution and dissipate are not the same thing.
So the disintegration is not a dissipation.
Disintegration. Yeah, disintegration. Yeah. But it seems like disintegration is much easier to understand. And what was the other word again, Kevin?
Dissipation?
Huh?
Dissipation?
Yeah, dissipation.
Yeah.
Dissipation. It seems like dissipation is a very difficult word to understand.
Yeah.
I hear you using it, but I'm not sure what you mean by it. I'm sure I know it by my kind of I guess you could say projection or superimposition is preservation of energy. That it's almost like there's an energy that is never destroyed. The energy just continues. But of course, when you talk about a dissipated phenomena, I have a lot of difficulty understanding what it is. And if you posit that, okay, so you have next life, or your consciousness continues, but there's no self, but there's a continuity. I have that's like I'm almost stuck with taking this on faith, and I don't really accept it all on faith. I can understand the meaning continuity, but if you then you try to pin me on and say what continues, I can't really say. I can't say whether the body continues, the self continues, the consciousness continues, the mind continues. So I find this word dissipation extremely problematic, is what I'm trying to say.
So I
I'm
talk
not-
about the term dissipation.
I'm not sure if you can even assuredly define it in a way I can say, yes, I see the evidence for that. I can accept continuity, but that's about as far as I can
Yeah, I
get.
think dissipations maybe become non-functional or discontinuing or wasted, right? So it's a dissipate. When you, so if you cook something, it's all burned and there is no continuity for eating. So it's a dissipate. Your cook has dissipate. And then, so if you, for example, so if you plant the, like your tomatoes, if you plant it, and then the other day the bird comes and dig out the soil and then eat the seed. So you're planting the seed of the tomato is dissipate, is wasted. So there's no continuum. So, or someone has burned that seed, or you haven't put enough water and it dried up, destroyed. So that's called dissipation. So something discontinuous is also dissipation, right? So here is saying, everything is changing and it's going to end. Everything is going to end, limited. But because of that, if you think, is it limited for this life, or like even 1 minute is limited to exist until 60th second. So does that mean there is no continuation of the minute? So 1 minute ends in the 60th second, but it's not going to dissipate or discontinue because there's next minute. If there is no next minute, there's no continuity minute, and there's no hour, there's no day, there's no week, month. So each day has limit, but the limitation is not the limitation is not the meaning of discontinue of the day. Right? When the Sunday ends, it's not going to call this day has discontinued. If the Sunday is discontinued and the Monday happened, Monday discontinued. Each day is discontinued, and there's no continuation of the 7 day as a week. So I think in this, life and next life, and disintegrating or ending. So here is saying, you may have next life that is totally different from this life, but it still counts as a continuation of this life. You also see the continuations, say, I'm cutting the line, and then each person comes to look at while I'm cutting the lines. Each person have a watery mouth. So I can continuously give water mouth by cutting the line. So this line is not going into their mouth, as there is a continuation of the effect. In the mold, right? And then if you put one clay inside, the print on the clay, right? This is called clay, right? So, and I put it the other side, and then put inside, and another clay I put it. There's a continuously give the print. So there is continuations, but that does not mean whole print on the mold is kind of transfer to the clay, but still continues. It's all different, but they still continues. So I think people have hard time to understand the continuation, but it's because they think, the end, death, or disintegrations, they always they're thinking about this is the end means annihilations, end means discontinuations. So keep thinking about that, believing in that, and they have hard time. Although every day they see, so there's a continuation from the magnifying glasses, from the magnifying glasses for the fire. There's a continuation of the how's that? The lamp from one candle to the another candle. We all understand, we know that, but still, when it comes to or end of something, or disintegration of something, limitations, that you keep thinking, oh, this is the kind of end means there is no continuations. So it also sounds very similar, A and D and E and D. And so we are mixed together, A and D and E and D. So we think N is continuing, E and D is end. So even I think there's a way in the so we are not kind of properly pronouncing the separate E and D and A and D. We also not being able to understand, the disintegrations and discontinuations. So yeah, A and D is continuing, therefore it's not E and D. And then, disintegration of the seed is not a discontinuation of the seed. So dissipation in the translate from the in Tibetan language that says chuse. So mostly they use chuse is wasted. It wastes. There is no function. It becomes non-functionals. Chusevas. So if you seize the watery mouth continues from the line, if you seize and understand the print in the clay from the mold is the continuations. So if you see the sprout from the disintegration of the seed is a continuation of the seed. So why not the death of this person is continuously exist? By having died, and the continuation is still there. So the continuations, nothing transfer, but continues. So because of that disintegrating, this happened. Without having this disintegrating, this won't happen. And also when we think about, in elements, so we are existing with this air that continues breathing in and out in the body, and then the heat and the blood that flows, and then the space, the hollow in the body, that makes you existing. But, the death is dissolution of those elements. So you're born in element, you die in element, you're born in another element. There is no end of the element. There is no end of the continuity of consciousness. So yeah, I think many things, many many of those realities that something that is obvious to us, we accept, and then we are not able to apply to another things. So what we see, and we just leave it there. Oh, from the line, there is continuation in watery mouth, yes. But when this body dies, there is no continuations. Why? When the seed in putting, seed plant in the soil, when the seed dies in the soil, and there's a continuations as a sprout. So it's not like, as I mentioned, the follow of the scriptures. If you continuously believing and try to find what to believe, and that's a kind of big obstacle for the, gaining knowledge. So if you, when you kind of, keep analyzing logically, finding things. So then this really becomes so convincing. So you can apply this knowledge to the all phenomena. I think the problem is our believing systems. So we're too much kind of, relying on the belief. So even there's something that against to your belief, something very obvious, we don't care. The belief is more important. Assumptions in the the assumptions and the belief, they don't need any logic and reasoning, right?
Yes.
It's a guess, yeah. And a guess. so guess when they're going to disappear sooner or later. So someone came and has to go out. So because they are gas. So how do you pronounce correctly the gas?
Well, GUESS is guess, like an assumption.
Yeah.
And then guest,
GAS.
GUEST, guest. So
almost like END and AND. So you have to. So you have to. I think in that case you have to, rely on the assumptions. So he must be saying END, so not AND. So that's the kind of true truths. True truths. That's very, very important. The further presentation of the true truths, there seems to be a variety of views when it comes to the basis for differentiating the true truths. Here, however, we take as that basis or object of knowledge, the meaning of the Father in Son Sutra says, as cited in the companion of training. Thus, the Tathagatas comprehends the true truth, the conventional and ultimate. So, this is clearly saying Tathagata comprehends. So, the Buddha realized the true truth, right? Ultimate and conventional truths. What is to be known by the conventional and ultimate truth is also exhaustive. So that, which means to any knowable object that all include in the true truth. Either it's conventional truth or the ultimate truth. There is no third possible. Furthermore, because the blessed one clearly saw them, so that also, strongly stating that conventional truth and ultimate truth are the reality. Clearly saw them, means Buddha through the omniscient, understand, realize the true truth, which means conventional truth has to exist. Otherwise, it's Buddha omniscient not going to be revealed or realized. Clearly understood them. So omniscient Buddha understand them clearly, excellently actualize them within the emptiness. Now this is the quality of the Buddhas, within the emptiness. While Buddha's mind is totally, abiding in emptiness, and he understands the true truth. So ordinary people, when we understand the conventional truth, we forgot emptiness. When we understand emptiness, and then we forgot the conventional reality. So the Buddha, while his mind is inseparable forever with emptiness, he understands both truth. Actualize them within emptiness, he is referred to as the omniscient. Therefore, simultaneously together, right? There is no omniscient mind that is perceiving conventional and lacking understand emptiness. There is no Buddha's omniscient that is, the realizing emptiness and not, revealed the conventional reality. There is no possible. So this is why I call omniscient. Number thamje kemba. So in Tibetan, number thamje kemba. Number is the aspect. Thamje means cover all aspect in ultimate and the conventional. The expressions what is to be known identifies object of knowledge to be the basis for the differentiating the true truths, while it's also exhaustive to indicate that divisions into two truths encompasses the everything. And so because the Tathagata comprehends the both truth, he is described as the omniscient. Therefore, the exposition of those who propound that this standpoint of the Guide to the Bodhisattva way, is that ultimate truth is not an object of knowledge. So there's within the Tibetan masters, some of just by literally following the Guide to the Bodhisattvas, and they also propound that the ultimate truth is not known by any consciousness. So object of knowledge, and that is not realized by any cognitions, is distorted ones. So Lama Tsongkapha was this distorted one, because in the sutra, the father and son, saying Buddha comprehends the both truth within the emptiness, right? So now here, these masters, one of the Tibetan great masters, was saying, the ultimate truth is, not known by any cognitions. The division into two conventional truth and the ultimate truth constitute the actual differentiations. On the question of what exactly the meaning or nature of such differentiation is, here too, there seem to be many as a diverse opinion. I will explain this, however, as follows. Both of these two truths possess the nature, and it is impossible for two member to be neither identical nor different in natures. So ultimate truth and the conventional truth, as I mentioned, is named by the two perceptions, not because the two truth by their own as a separate, like apple and orange. So which means the emptiness of the sprout and the conventional of the sprout is not like apple and orange. So neither identical, they are not one, they are not different. Now, if things happen to be different in natures from their emptiness of the truly true existence, they will then come to possess true existence. If by their own essence, by their own natures, conventional and ultimate is become two. So it means, like within the one tree is the two branches, right? When you have right hand and left hands, there's obviously is a separate, right? So in this way, you cannot find the conventional ultimate truth. So therefore, just like being a product, just like being a product and being impermanence, like product of this table, impermanence of table, from the language, from the verbally is a separating. The verbal that says impermanence of the table did not explicitly mention the product of the table. And the product of the table, it explicitly mentioning, product of the table, it explicitly mentioning the product, not the impermanent. So impermanence is not going to explicitly, expressing the product. So by verbally, they are separate. Conceptually, they are separate. When you conceive the impermanence of the table, this very thought is not perceiving the product. So that does not mean impermanence and the products are different. Like this, so conventional truth in the ultimate truth is like a product and impermanence. Whatever the product has to be impermanent, whatever is the impermanent are the product, right? There is no product without being impermanent. There is no impermanent without being a product. So the two conventional truth, such as vast and its ultimate truth, is emptiness of the true existing, are identical in natures. So identical in nature, not identical, right? Me and my body are, not identical. Myself is not the body. Body is not me. But the myself and my body are conventionally distincted, two separate phenomena, but naturally they are not separate. Like a forest and that in its trees, conceptually distincted, right? Naturally they are identical, essentially identical. Identical natures, but have distinct conceptual identities. The commentary on the awakening mind says, independent of the conventional, no ultimate can be found. So the ultimate emptiness is, emptiness has revealed or is revealed within the conventional. So knowing conventional not truly exist is the ultimate, right? So you say, speech, the lie speech, and not true, right? Not true of that speech is within the speech, within the lie speech, right? So if someone lies, so that not true is within it. So because it is lie, therefore it's not true. So the lying and not true is found in the in the same thing. So the conventionalness is ordinarily exist, and therefore it is not ultimately. Therefore it is not truly exist. So without conventional, there is no ultimate truth. So which means ultimate truth is not independent from the conventional. So independent of conventional, no ultimate truth can be found. The conventional is taught to be emptiness. Emptiness itself is the conventional. Now, emptiness itself means because of the empty, because it's not truly exists. Therefore, when things happen to exist as a conventional, right? So one does not occur without the others, just as being product and impermanent. So the meaning of the 4 lines is this: the suchness of the conventional is not of the different nature. So by nature, they are not separate. By nature, they are not separate. Because by nature, there is no true truth. So the suchness of the conventional is not a different natures, because the conventional truth are themselves empty of true existence. And furthermore, the emptiness of the true existing is itself presented as the basis of the conventional. So because of the nothing truly exists, when something happen to exist as relatively, dependently, So last 2 lines state that such being the case, the two observe, right, an invariable relationship whereby one does not come into being without another's. And since theirs is the relationship of the identical natures, so the two are shown to be like being product in being impermanence, which are also identical in nature. As for the characters of the individual member of these divisions, this is mentioned above when the individual truth were defined as what is obtained by the 2 type of valid cognitions. So the 2 type of valid cognitions, so one, the way of engaging is objectively, looking what is objectively grounded. Right? So the finding nothing objectively ground is the way to, the wisdom realizing emptiness. And then another, the conventional perceptions, the mundane perception is not objectively. They are not examining in the reality. They're just, engaging in that the creation of the what's that? Yeah, I think the relative existence. Like when you are taught, when you look at the mirror, the image that appears, so you don't analyze, is it this image, mirror image, exists by itself or not? So you just use it, when you do the makeup, you just use it for, to correctly touch on the right spot. So you rely on the image, mirror image. You don't question how this comes to existence, right? So without unanalyzed phenomena. So so that's called conventional. Yeah. For the characters, the individual members, the divisions, this mentioned above, the individual truth identifies what is obtained by the two valid cognitions. Now, if what is presented here is to be harmonized, right, with Shantideva's guide to the Bodhisattva ways, how would one explain the following in this text, in that text? The conventional and ultimate truth. These are accepted to be true truth. The ultimate is not an object of intellect. The intellect is said to be conventional. So this is how the guide to the Bodhisattva in the Shantideva text says. So ultimate is not the object of intellect, but the intellect is said to be conventional. So which is kind of saying, yes, the ultimate truth is, is the, not the object of the intellect. Means is that, the ultimate may have revealed by inferential cognizations, right? But so intellectual, right? Intellectual concept. So is not revealing the emptiness as it is. Because this intellectual is, revealing the emptiness through the mediation, through its own creations. So, like, what do you say? So this, the first two lines here, they present division into the two truths. Then when identifying the individual member of that divisions, the ultimate is identified in one line, the ultimate, while conventional truth is identified in another line. So the intellect is the conventional is the conventional mind. So conventional mind is a conception. The assertions that what has been presented as the thesis in the preceding line, that the ultimate is not an object of intellect, is being established by the subsequent line. The intellect is said to be conventional, does not appear to be the intent of the text at all. In fact, identification of the true truths found here in the Guide to the Bodhisattva Way appears to the restatement of the following passage of the meeting of Father and Son Sutra, quoted in Shantideva's Compendium of the Trainings. So this was actually instated in the sutras. In the sutra, this is of these two, the Tathagata sees the conventional to be preview, right? of the world. That which is ultimate is infallible. It is not the object of knowledge. It is not an object of detailed knowledge. It's not an object of true, thorough knowledge, right? It is not shown. So I think because the Buddha in the sutra, so first Buddha says, Tathagata comprehends the true truths. And then the last line says, one clearly saw them, clearly understand them, excellently actualize them within the emptiness. So this is saying where the Buddha, the direct the omniscience, understands the true truth, but Buddha understands the true truth in emptiness. So which means there is no omniscience, any part of omniscience that is conceiving the reality. Buddha has no, there is no quality in omniscience to conceive things, to imagine things, to construct things. So then, therefore, the conventional reality is for the sentient being to conceive, for the sentient beings to engage, so sentient beings to imagine. So preview, so they is a kind of it's those objects for the sentient beings to experience and directly engaging. So omniscience is like a direct perception. So your eye consciousness is not going to conceive any imaginations, right? So this is why in Guide to the Bodhisattva means is not object of intellects. It's not object of your concept. So this is why sometimes the ultimate truth is inexpressible reality. So there is no verbal can express as it is of ultimate truths. There is no concept that can reveal the emptiness as it is. But the verbal is relying on imaginations. Concept is also relying on its own creation. So they may have revealed emptiness, but they do not actualize or realize the emptiness as it is. So they also have to, your conceptual has to, when it understands emptiness, it has to bring the meaning of emptiness in their own imagination, their own mental creations.
I didn't understand that last sentence.
So I think here for you maybe example, for example. I can understand the existence of Japan, but I've never been to Japan. I understand that Japan exists. So Japanese coming here, there's a lot of, so I understand Japan conceptually. So there is no direct perception of me that perceiving Japanese or Japan exists. So which means my understanding of the existence of Japan is through my own creations. I have created the idea or the kind of, the form of Japan. So the intellectual here, the conceptual in the intellectual understanding is also, so there is no direct access. My understanding of the Japan has no direct access to the Japan. Like eye consciousness, direct access to perceive the color. My thought has no direct access to see the color. My nose has direct access to experience the smell. My thought has no direct access to experience the smell. So this is why in Guide to the Bodhisattvas, ultimate is not object of intellect, means ultimate is not, direct object of intellect. Right. So my eye can see the tree. My eye has a direct access to see the tree. So if I close my eye, my mind can understand the tree, can realize the tree, but no direct access. So right now we are kind of, trying to understand what in the Guide to the Bodhisattvas, there's line, ultimate truth is not object of intellect. It is not the direct object of intellect. Now, if you interpret that in saying, oh, ultimate is not revealed or understand by the intellect, is a misinterpretation. So you have to say ultimate is not direct object of intellect. So my intellect, my thought, my intellect understanding, there must be fire beyond that, behind that mountain, because I can see the smoke. So through the smoke, that I have direct access to the smoke, and then I intellectually say there must be fire. So the fire has no directly perceived by my thought. But my thought understands the fire exists through the smoke that directly perceived. So the intellect has no direct access. So that's why in Tibetan term, there's in the many texts there's a sherab and a yeshik. So sherab is simply understanding, the wisdom that understands. Right? Yeshik means you understand as it is. In the text also sometimes there's a 4 reliance. And then first you have to rely on the teachers. And teacher and the teaching, which one more you rely? Teachings, not the teacher. Right? And within the teaching, intellectual and experience. So which one you rely? Experience, not the intellectuals. Right? So within the teaching again, this is how to say the word and the meanings, and you don't rely on the words, you rely on the meaning. And then within the meaning, intellectual understanding and direct realizations. You rely on direct realization, not in intellectuals. So it's not saying that if you rely on teaching, you don't rely on teachers. So teacher is important compared to relatively, right? Compared to the teaching, and you more rely on the teaching, not the teacher. And the word and the meaning is more important than the word. The meaning, the understanding of the meaning is also intellectual and experience, direct realizations. You rely on direct realizations, not intellectuals. Sometimes some literature says intellectual understanding is like sugar cane. You are just licking on the the stick of the sugar cane, and you haven't cut it, you haven't tasted inside, so you just lick outside on the this what called
The bark.
bark, yeah. So maybe there's some taste, right? but you haven't really tasted inside the sugarcane. So the direct realization is, directly experiencing the inside of the sugarcane. So you are continuously licking on the bark, or you want to cut it. so intellectually, it's like that. Yeah. So this four we call sometimes four reliance. Yes, you rely on teacher, but when it comes to the teaching, you are more relying on the teaching rather than the teachers. Sometimes teacher can say things out of excitement or unconcentrated. So, right. So maybe sometimes teacher can, too emotional. So, so this is the, so in the sutra and the meeting of the father and sons, Buddha Shakyamuni and his fathers, in his conversations. So in this, the second line of that is saying that the which is the ultimate truth is infallible. It is not the object of knowledge, and it is not an object of detailed knowledge. So first object of knowledge means is not direct object of intellectual. Is not intellectually not understand as it is, and not thorough knowledge. This intellectual understanding is not the perfect kind of perfect knowledge. It's not complete knowledge. Yeah, any questions? How's the maid?
I'm here.
Oh. I'm here too. So no questions? Everyone become arahant.
No, solitary non-errors.
No need teachers.
They're relying on the teachers.
So, Chanju Simjo Rinpoche, Maje Pana Jeju, Keva Nyamba Mebaya, Konde Konde Pebrisho, Tonye Tawa Rinpoche, Maje Pana Jeju, Keva Nyamba Mebaya, Konde Konde Pebrisho, Pama Simjen Tamje Dedan Jeju, Yedro Tamje Tado Tuma, Chanju Simba Kanda Sushube, Tata Kunjo Mono Juju, Kari Rabe Kobe Shimazu, Pendan Dewa Manu Juve, Jerez and what Tinzin Jazu Yeshabe, Side Badu Tinjuji.
May the precious living life not yet born arise and grow. May that born have no decline, but increase forevermore. May the precious mind realizing emptiness not yet born rise and grow. May that born of multiplied increase forevermore. Due to all these merits, may all Father and Mother sentient beings that all that may all the lower realms be empty forever. Wherever there are Bodhisattvas, may all their prayers be accomplished in you. In the sacred place surrounded by snow mountains, you are the source of all benefit and happiness. O powerful Chandrakirti, remain dissolved until samsara ends.
Thank you very much.